Even if you're not pretty, celebrate your sister's wedding. The groom is your ex-fiancé. What? I don't have a sister. Huh? My ex-fiancé, Daniel, who married my beautiful sister, Camila, proudly hurled these words at me. I should just ignore him and move on. But he can't seem to stop himself from mentioning it. Actually, Camila and I. What? No way! It seemed like a misunderstanding, so I told Daniel the truth. This led to a huge fight between Daniel and Camila right before the wedding. Camila tried hard to calm things down, and the wedding went ahead, but I unintentionally became the center of attention, causing her rage. It wasn't my fault, though. Daniel and Camila kept bothering me even after the wedding, so I had to make them understand what they were doing. My name is Nancy Sasaki, 27 years old, an office worker. I had a boyfriend for 6 years. His name is Daniel, 33 years old. Daniel's job is a stage actor. Unfortunately, he wasn't successful at all. We met when I was still a college student. I was invited to a play where a college friend was performing, and Daniel was also in it. Daniel noticed me from the stage and approached me after the show. He was 6 years older, and I remember being initially scared. You stood out in the audience. You're really cute. I was wary of Daniel, who came on strong. Because I had been called unattractive before but never cute. Luckily, my friend protected me, and I didn't have to give him my contact information. But later, Daniel found my social media and sent me a message. I blocked him immediately. However, Daniel didn't give up easily and persistently contacted my friend to get my phone number. I didn't want to trouble my friend anymore. When Daniel sent another message from a new number, I finally agreed to go out with him just once. You are more beautiful than any woman I've seen. Please stop. I've never been told that, so I don't know how to respond. Daniel was the kind of man who said such things casually. He praised me throughout the date. Compliments about my voice, fingertips, shiny hair, pleasant scent, and more. Everything about me. He was the first man to ever praise me like that. Regrettably, by the end of the date, I found myself wanting to see him again. I had no confidence in myself. I was abandoned at the age of 7. I never felt at home with my family. My mother never praised me and always said, "I wish you were never born." So, I always thought of myself as unworthy of love. Maybe I just wanted someone's approval. Daniel fulfilled my need for approval in just one day. By then, I think I was already hooked on him. We started dating naturally after he asked me out a few times. But Daniel, who once fulfilled my need for approval, changed over 6 years. Hey, you're an actor's girlfriend. Can't you at least wear makeup when you're out? I am wearing makeup. Seriously? That's makeup. Wow, you're aging fast. Daniel started to criticize my looks. His purpose for dating me became apparent. I'm in a pinch this month. Again? The month just started. It can't be helped. Socializing is important for an actor. He claimed to be an actor, but it was self-proclaimed. He hadn't had a stage job in a year. He was barely working, mostly part-times. And often skips work. I'd like you to pay back everything you owe. Why? We're gonna get married, right? No need to pay back. I was 27 and vulnerable to the idea of marriage. But Daniel's words had been the same for the past 3 years. I have a faint understanding of it. I knew deep down he had no intention of marrying me. But I had no one else who would accept me. I thought I'd never meet anyone else who would acknowledge me. I used to think that way. So, I lent him money again, knowing it wouldn't come back. Hey, you entered my room without permission when I wasn't there, didn't you? Yeah, I did. Why? Stop entering my place when I'm not around. Okay, but why? You used to let me in. There might be fellow actors staying over. I don't want you getting assaulted. They're all frivolous guys. So always contact me before coming. Okay. I sighed. It had been 6 months since Daniel took away my spare key. Now, he was telling me to call before coming over. It felt like we were moving backwards instead of towards marriage. I'd sometimes use it to sneak in to clean, do laundry, or cook. Why is he bringing this up now? Was he actually bothered by it all along? Anxiety began to spread within me. Lately, I had been confiding in a colleague at work about Daniel. His name is Bob, 30 years old. Bob had become concerned after seeing my small lunch. I was embarrassed to be caught eating it in a hidden spot. Our company doesn't pay that poorly, right? I'm just saving money. I lied, but soon opened up about Daniel. Talking about it was surprisingly therapeutic, and I found myself frequently seeking Bob's advice. But recently, he had been blunt: "You should break up with that guy as soon as possible." I knew it, but couldn't bring myself to leave Daniel. It was disheartening. Finally, I resolved to end things. When Daniel came over, I sat him down to talk. "What's up?" "I'm hungry," he said, obviously here for food and money. Remembering this, I braced myself and started the conversation. "Hey, we've been together for 6 years. Shouldn't we think about the future?" "The future?" Daniel's attitude was clearly reluctant. I felt it was a waste to spend any more time on this. "If you can't see a future with me, let's break up." "What?" "I want to break up. Your stuff is packed. Take it with you. I'll get mine tomorrow." To my surprise, Daniel panicked when I initiated the breakup. "Wait! Is this some kind of joke?" "I'm serious." Seeing my earnest face, he suddenly grabbed my hand. "Okay, let's get engaged." "What?" "Wait for the ring, though. I'm broke right now." "I don't need a ring." Daniel had just proposed out of the blue. "Nancy, will you marry me?" He made a ring out of a straw and put it on my finger, bringing me to tears. "Really?" "Of course. I love you, Nancy. I never want to lose you." I foolishly believed his words, thinking he really wanted to marry me. After our engagement, everything seemed brighter. It felt like the fog had finally lifted. I was elated for days, even leaving behind something important at Daniel's place. It was a crucial document for work. I decided to get it without calling, as I knew he had an audition that day. I figured he wouldn't notice since I was just grabbing a document, and besides, we were engaged now. I interpreted it as the situation being different from a few days ago. But the key wasn't in its usual spot. Then, a voice came from inside. Hearing noises inside, I first thought he had actor friends over. But the sounds were intimate. Daniel's voice was unmistakable. Quietly turning the doorknob, which was unlocked, I heard, "Aren't you going to tell her soon? Maybe I should milk her for more money before dumping her." "Wow, you're terrible." I knew they were talking about me. I entered to find Daniel and another woman. They were in bed. "What is this?" I expected them to panic, but Daniel got defensive. "Didn't I say to call first? Why are you here?" The woman just smirked and calmly dressed. I recognized her face. "Long time no see, Nancy." "How do you know my name?" "You forgot?" Memories of a dark past flooded back. My brain recalled memories from that time. Before being abandoned, there was another girl in the oppressive home with my mother. Her name was Camila, 3 years younger than me. She was here, in front of me, growing into a beautiful woman. Camila was my mother's favorite. She was cute and smart as a child, always pleasing my mother, while I was seen as slow and a disappointment. I resembled our father, whom my mother hated. Camila always watched me being mistreated with a smirk. Just like now. Camila, now 30 years old, certainly retained the traces of her past self and had become even more beautiful. "When I heard you were her sister, I was surprised. You're nothing alike. You're ugly." "But Daniel, you said I was cute." "I don't remember saying that." Be careful, she's always been a liar. Oh my gosh. They laughed, bringing back more painful memories. My mother and Camila often laughed at me like this. I left the place as if I were fleeing. I fled, breathless from running and heartbreak. I had believed Daniel for 6 years, thinking he was the only one who accepted me. That's what I believed, but now that it's been betrayed, I don't know what to do and everything in front of me goes completely dark. The next day, I told Bob everything. He listened silently, helping me realize the engagement was a lie, and that there was no point in continuing with Daniel. I demanded repayment of the money I had lent Daniel. You only lent it because you liked me, right? Why do I have to pay it back? It was under the promise of marriage. Now that we're not getting married, it's only fair you pay it back. I don't wanna. I have no intention of paying you back. Plus, you have no proof that you lent me anything. In the end, I never got the money back. I had no choice but to accept the loss. Daniel and I had been together for 6 years, but we never lived together. If we had been living together for that long, I might have been able to claim some legal status as a common-law wife, but we weren't in that kind of relationship. In fact, at the beginning, I was the one giving him money, so I couldn't demand repayment from Daniel. I could have hired a lawyer, but that would have cost even more money. Just stay away from me. Camila doesn't like you. After stealing so much of my time, I can't forgive you. Yeah, I don't need your forgiveness. Daniel waved his hand dismissively, as if shooing away a stray cat. Months passed, and I tried to recover from the heartbreak by immersing myself in work. When I was busy, I could forget everything. One night after working late, I came home to find a wedding invitation in my mailbox. I opened it, curious about who it was from, and it was from the 2 people I wanted to forget the most: Daniel and Camila. They had even included a photo of themselves. They probably put it in just my envelope. As I was about to throw the invitation in the trash, my phone rang. It was Daniel's number, one I couldn't forget even though I hadn't saved it. What do you want? Don't sound so scary. What's up? If there's nothing important, I'm hanging up. Hang on, don't be so hasty. You're gonna come to our wedding, right? I was incredulous. Why should I attend the wedding of my ex-fiancé? As I was thinking of how to end the call quickly, he said, even if you're not pretty, you should celebrate your sister's wedding. The groom is your ex-fiancé, after all. What? I don't have a sister. Huh? Daniel burst into laughter. I didn't understand what was so funny. We met at my place recently, remember? You're talking about Camila. I know that. Then stop lying about not having a sister. I'm not lying. Daniel started to get frustrated. I realized this conversation was going nowhere and felt a headache coming on. I might have to explain things properly. We're not family. I have no obligation to attend your wedding. Come on, I've reserved a seat for you. Oh, you don't want to meet your mother who abandoned you? It's not that. Fine, I'll explain. The truth is, Camila and I are not blood related. Camila is the daughter of my mother and her previous husband. I was my father's child from another relationship. However, my father left, abandoning both my mother and me. So, I have no blood relation to my mother either. She kept me around initially as an excuse for my father to return, but after 2 years, I became a nuisance. That's when I was sent to a children's house. So, I'm not really related to Camila. Daniel finally seemed to understand. That's why I have no reason to attend the wedding. I'm not family. I wasn't told any of this. That's not my problem. Daniel had believed Camila was my real sister. Camila must have fed him lies about me. When did you meet Camila? About 6 months ago, I guess. That long? So, you've been cheating for half a year? Well, let's just leave it, it's all in the past. I felt a boiling rage, realizing their affair had been going on for so long. It's one thing to be deceived, but Daniel's readiness to believe someone he met only 6 months ago over me, after 6 years together, was infuriating. At the same time, I felt my feelings for him cool off completely. "I'm glad you called today." "Thanks." "What? Thanking me? That's weird. Because of this call, I've completely lost any feelings I had for you." "What do you mean by that?" I wondered why I ever needed Daniel so much. It wasn't love, I just enjoyed being acknowledged by him. Now I finally understand that. Even knowing Daniel was deceived by Camila, I felt nothing. I couldn't find it in me to help or care about him anymore. If there's no empathy, it's not love. "I'm a stranger to all of you now. Please don't contact me again." I said this and hung up, then blocked his number. But a few days later, Camila showed up in front of me. She caught me as I was leaving work. She must have asked Daniel where I worked. You told Daniel unnecessary things." "I just told him the truth since he seemed to misunderstand that we were real sisters." "Thanks to you, I'm being called a liar now." After our call, Daniel kept trying to call me back. Camila saw him, and when she asked what he was doing, he burst out, "That lying woman. She made a fool out of me." Camila apologized and somehow managed to calm Daniel down, avoiding calling off their wedding. I still couldn't understand why she was so desperate to marry him. "Because of your meddling, I'm in an uncomfortable position." "That's your own doing. Not my problem." "You always act so cool about everything I do. Show some regret." "What?" Camila suddenly lashed out in anger. Her face twisted with rage. I was clueless and asked her to explain. As a child, when our father was still around, I was apparently the favored one, though I have no memory of it. Camila must have felt like I was taking her mother's affection away. So, she worked hard at school and helped around the house. But still, I was more favored. That frustrated her. When our father left, my mother turned cold towards me, which Camila found satisfying. Seeing me mistreated by our mother was a pleasure for her. "But when you were sent to the facility, I missed seeing you suffer." 20 years later, she saw me walking happily with Daniel and couldn't stand hearing him call me cute. "I can't stand you being happier than me." She decided to take Daniel away from me, approaching him as my sister and seducing him with her beauty. She bragged about all this, but I just felt pity for her. "You must have a lot of free time." "What did you say?" "Seriously. I left home 20 years ago, and you're still hung up on that? What a waste of time." Camila lost it and lunged at me, just as Bob happened to come out. Bob rushed over to us. "What are you doing?" he demanded, positioning himself protectively in front of me. Camila looked at Bob, surprised, and suddenly became quiet. "Nancy, who is this?" "He's my colleague from work." Camila started fidgeting, probably because Bob is handsome. "I'm her sister, Camila." "Sister?" "Actually, I'm getting married soon, but my sister won't come. That's why we're arguing." Bob seemed to think for a moment, then said something astonishing to Camila. "Can I attend your wedding?" "Yes. Of course. Please come. I'll reserve a seat for you." "Make sure it's next to Nancy," Bob said with a smile. Camila's eyes turned into hearts. After Camila left, I complained to Bob, but he just winked and said he had a plan. I was frustrated at how all the men around me were so self-centered. And then, the wedding day arrived. I hadn't planned on going, but there I was, attending. What was Bob thinking? I had no idea. Filled with anxiety, I entered the venue. The wedding was a garden party, stand-up style, with no specific seats. So I stood away from the family area. Surprisingly, Bob escorted me perfectly. I wasn't looked at strangely, and even the family and Camila's friends who were whispering turned their attention to Bob. Then I met my mother after a long time. She looked uncomfortable, But when Bob spoke to her, she was just like Camila, all starry-eyed. She seemed to mistake him for my boyfriend and glared at me jealously. That's when I realized how charming Bob was. During the wedding, Camila came over to us. "Thank you for coming today, Bob too. I'm delighted to be invited. By the way, Bob, do you know? The groom is actually Nancy's ex-fiancé." Camila started boasting, though Bob obviously knew. And, well, Nancy has a bit of a tendency to lie, so don't be too hard on her. "What are you saying?" "Stop it. It's my wedding day. If you shout like that, everyone will be startled." See, she can't even control her emotions. Bob sighed deeply. I thought he was disappointed in me. I wanted to believe he understood me, but feared being betrayed like with Daniel. My heart was in turmoil. "Really, it's a shame." Camila smirked. "Poor Nancy, having such a painful sister." "What?" "You know, you should enjoy the wedding more instead of worrying about your sister." "What did you say?" "Sorry, but I don't believe in hearsay. I know Nancy better than anyone. I've been watching her since she joined the company." People started gathering around us. Even Daniel came over, wondering what was happening. "What's going on?" "Oh, the groom. I wanted to meet you and say thank you." "Thanks. Thank you for finally breaking up with Nancy. It gave me a chance." Then Bob suddenly confessed to me. He said he fell in love with me at first sight when I joined the company. But knowing I had a boyfriend, he had no choice but to give up. Still, he couldn't get over it and had been harboring feelings for me for 5 years. This took me by surprise. "Don't do whatever you want at my wedding." "That's true. Then, we'll be excusing ourselves." Bob said this, took my hand, and led me away, leaving everyone stunned. The lovey-dovey video of Daniel and Camila played after we left. It was meant to flaunt their happiness to me, but apparently no one watched it, still buzzing from the proposal they had just witnessed. I could easily imagine Camila being upset during the rest of the wedding. Even my mother reportedly said, "Camila, why didn't you marry someone like Bob?" Enraged, Camila called me that night. "Should you be talking to me on your wedding night?" "Shut up. I can't rest until I've said this to you." "You invited me, right?" "That doesn't mean you can cause trouble." "I didn't cause any trouble." Camila was fuming, talking over me in anger. "Just leave me alone, will you?" "I'm not bothering you." "I understand it's frustrating, but constantly comparing yourself to others is pointless." "What do you know?" "I don't. But it's silly to marry a man you don't love just to see me lose something. Ever thought about wasting your own life?" Camila was stunned into silence by my words and hung up. It must have been a shock. This was a chance for her to finally face herself. I hoped she would start living her own life, not one focused on belittling others. After that, I heard nothing more from Camila. She couldn't divorce Daniel right away since they had just married, and the wedding was paid for by our mother. She had to reimburse that. So she tried to get the money from Daniel. Pay half of the wedding expenses. "What? You think I have that kind of money?" "That's not what we agreed on." "I told you I didn't want a wedding in the first place." The marriage continued for a while with Daniel not working and Camila supporting the household. Eventually, Camila couldn't take it anymore and served him divorce papers. "I can't stand this life anymore." She left, saying that. So now, Daniel has reappeared before me, spilling this story without me even asking. It was during a cold winter at the station near my workplace. Daniel was waiting for me at the train station nearest to my office. "She left me, you see. Now I realize the only one who can support my acting career is you, Nancy. Let's start over." "Talk in your sleep." "What?" Daniel seemed to still misunderstand that I had feelings for him. "Once you wake up, it's clear how pitiful such a man is." I felt pathetic for clinging to him for 6 years. "Hey, how long are you going to keep calling yourself an actor? It's pathetic. You know it, don't you? You're not making it. What's gotten into you? You're not even trying. There's no woman left who'd devote herself to a man like that. I've finally woken up. Thanks for dumping me. Hey, wait! Daniel blocked my way. I never thought I'd see the day Daniel, with his high pride, would apologize to me. Hey! Stop it! Not here! Please! Give me another chance! I'll treat you right this time. Do you really think I can trust those words? Please! I don't want to be alone. At first, I thought he wanted to reconcile just to leech off another woman, but it seemed there was more to it. He didn't want to be lonely. After Camila left him, Daniel was alone. Apparently, his acting friends hadn't paid him any mind for years, and with no friends, he was truly alone. He couldn't return home after being disowned by his parents when he left to pursue acting. He had been fired from his job due to repeated no-shows and was scared of ending up completely isolated. However, hearing his story didn't make me sympathetic enough to forgive him. Besides, sorry to say this, but I'm engaged now, I said, removing my glove to show him my engagement ring. After Daniel and Camila's wedding, Bob had asked me to start a relationship with the intention of marriage. Engaged? No way! It's true. So I'm sorry. To that guy. Stop it! He's no good! Do you have the right to say that? Daniel seemed at a loss for words. Forget about me, please. I walked away, leaving him sitting there, dumbfounded. That was the last time Daniel appeared before me. Afterwards, Camila went back to live with our mother, who berated her as shameless. Needing to repay the wedding expenses, Camila couldn't defy her mother and ended up working at a local company for a low salary. Frustrated and angry at her situation, she eventually contacted Daniel again. Daniel, who was initially happy she returned, was disappointed to learn she only wanted him to pay for the wedding. But, believing that repaying the expenses could lead to reconciliation, he's now working 2 jobs. Rumor has it, Camila has no intention of getting back together and is just using him. I feel no obligation to enlighten him, let them figure it out. Meanwhile, Bob and I started looking for wedding venues. He respects my opinions, and we can share our joys. We maintain the same relationship at work. While I'm managing fine, Bob seems a bit awkward with the changes. So, I've decided to resign once we get married. This isn't just for Bob. I've always wanted to pursue a certain career and am going to attend school for it. Being able to discuss this openly is something I appreciate about Bob. Of course, he's supportive. Bob accepts me for who I am, and it feels very comfortable. He doesn't overly praise me, he just acknowledges me. I've realized that this is what true happiness feels like. My life is just beginning. I'm determined to live it my way, authentically and fully.